The full release of Football Manager means we finally have full access to the world's biggest football scouting network. And I spent an entire stream scouring that database to give you the 20 best hidden Wonderkids that you almost definitely have no idea who they are that have a chance to be world class. And we've got some nationalities on here that we have literally never seen on a hidden Wonderkids list before. Oh, it's so tantalizing. I can barely take it. And to kick off our list at number 20 is Oscar Spittenisæter of Norway. He's 17, soon to be 18 at the start of the database that Football Manager releases. Spittenisæter is a wing striker type player who started his career at Stabæk in the Norwegian league. He broke into the team as the youngest ever debutant on that team at just over 16 years of age. And 2 years later, he moved for over 2 million euros to Molde, which is where he is in the database now. He has great technique, control of the ball, and creativity and the ability to take players on, as well as a solid understanding of how to be a playmaker in the game at a high level. We're talking about a guy here who was the Norwegian First Division Player of the Month at the age of 16. Football Manager has him rated on a current ability of 109 on a scale of 1 to 200, and his potential ability range given by the game is 140 to 170. And that potential ability range is going to be the same until I tell you otherwise for every other player on this list. And just for reference, for all of these players we're talking about, the absolute top end of that potential ability range Football Manager has given them at 170. It's the same current ability as Julian Alvarez, Alexander Isak, Michael Olise, Lautaro Martinez, and Ruben Diaz. It's an incredibly high level. Even the bottom of that range is not bad. 140 current ability has players like Romeo Lavia, Youssouphin Nassiri, the star striker from Morocco, and Premier League players like Sander Berg and Lucas Bergvall. That's the absolute floor and the potential of every player we're going to look at. And number 19 on the list is Leon Grgic, a Croatian striker who plays for Sturm Graz in Austria. He's the oldest player on the list. He's 19 years old and he turns 20 in January. That's the other requirement, by the way. You have to be under 20 years old to be on this list. But he's a very athletic, intense, physical frontman with what is already considered elite speed at 16 pace. He's come all the way up in the Sturm Graz Academy and has been a part of the first team since 2023, with a couple of European appearances under his belt already this season. Football Manager lists his current ability at 116. At number 18 on the list is a 17-year-old Senegalese winger named Amara Diouf. And this guy is still in Senegal. He debuted for the Senegalese national team, get this, at 15 years and 94 days old. The youngest debutant, obviously, in the history of the Senegalese national team. This was during a time where he was playing in Mohammed VI under-19s tournament in Morocco, which was this huge U19s tournament that Generation Foot, the Senegalese team, won, beating teams like Real Madrid, with Amara Diouf being the standout player in that competition. He's still at Generation Foot now, but the rumor is that he's going to be headed to FC Metz when he comes of age. As for now, Football Manager doesn't seem to really know what to make of him, other than he has great potential and a lot of creativity. They gave him a current ability rating of 92, but he's so young with that potential, the sky's kind of the limit. Number 17 is Christopher Cupps, a 17-year-old American center back with Chicago Fire. Cupps is big. He just turned 17 over the summer, and he's already checking in the Football Manager database at 6'3", which means he's closing in on 2 meters, and he has the jumping reach to match. The wall being big, he is not wholly unathletic, with a decent turn of pace. He's got a decent technical floor, as somebody that's been coached at a high level for a long time would have. He broke into the Fire's first team in May of this year, and also went to the U17 World Cup with the US national team. Football Manager's given him a rating of 95. Number 16, we're staying in MLS actually with a guy named David Martinez, but he is Venezuelan. He's a kind of winger, center attacking midfielder, playmaker type guy. He's one of the older players on this list because he is already 19 years old. But he makes up for that with the fact that he is already a serious first team regular. After moving from Monagas in Venezuela to LAFC, he hasn't missed a beat, with 38 appearances for LAFC already. And they're still going in the playoffs right now. He's creative, athletic, and possesses a significant goal threat, and is obviously not the only player on this list to literally already be in his national team. But he couldn't crack the top 15. That honor is instead reserved for somebody on the other end of the age spectrum. Our 15th best hidden Wonderkid in the world is Dawlet Orinbasar of Kazakhstan. Dawlet Orinbasar turned 16 in March of this year, and he has one of the weirdest player profiles you will ever see on Football Manager. He has world-class acceleration, agility, and balance, while also having one strength, because amongst other things, he is 5'3", which makes him about the size of Lorenzo Insigne. He also only has 7 pace, meaning he is quite slow. But he is also, for a 16-year-old, incredibly good around the goal, with his finishing, his touch, his dribbling, his technique, his flair, even his off-the-ball movement being, quite frankly, off the charts for not only a 16-year-old, but anybody in the Kazakh league. The guy doesn't even have a Wikipedia, and in his picture on Transfermarkt, he looks about 5 years old, but he is a part of the incredible youth movement at Kairat Almaty, the surprise Champions League qualifying club from Kazakhstan, and he's not the only player from that club on this list. The 14th best hidden wonder kid in the world is French 19-year-old Simon Bouabre, and he's here because he plays in Saudi Arabia, but not for one of the big couple teams. He plays for Neom SC, a team that managed to purchase him for a nice cheap bargain price of 10 million from Monaco. But because he's been shipped off to the mid-table of Saudi Arabia, his talent remains hidden. And he has talent. He's explosive, he passes well, he dribbles well. He's also somebody that, despite playing in the football equivalent of Narnia, has managed to crack the French under-21 national team. But did you know who Simon Bouabre is? I didn't think so. It's obviously possible that a player that plays at a club like Neom won't qualify for this list in a couple of years from now. But for now, Simon Bouabre is still very much a hidden wonder kid, with potentially one of the highest ceilings out of anybody here. He's certainly already gone for the biggest transfer of anybody here. Well, at least transfer that's already gone through. I've said too much. The 13th best hidden wonder kid in the world is Bruno Durdov, a second Croatian on the list. This guy's a right winger. He plays for Hajduk Split in the Croatian league, and he has barrels of ability at 17 years old. That would be why this kid has already played for Hajduk Split 29 times. He's 17. And at 17 years old, his current ability in Football Manager is already 105. And keep in mind, all of these guys still have a potential ability range in the game from 140 to 170, right? At the top level, these guys can be at Julian Alvarez level. That's what Football Manager is saying. And honestly, with the trajectory that Bruno Durdov is on right now, if Julian Alvarez was a 17-year-old Croatian guy, the start would look like this, you know what I'm saying? And we're not even in the top 10. Number 12 is maybe the best name on the entire list, Darwin Guagua, a guy who plays for Independiente del Valle, 17-year-old Ecuadorian left wing. Guagua is not unbelievably athletic. He's not bad, right? But he's not explosive. Where he wins is he is given absolutely ridiculous technical ability in Football Manager. I'm talking a guy who's dribbling, first touch, passing, and just general overall technical refinement is at a Premier League level as a 17-year-old on Independiente del Valle. And not only has he already become a regular first-team player this year for Independiente del Valle, he has broken into the Ecuadorian national team, which, if you weren't paying attention to World Cup qualifying, is very good. The craziest thing, though, is he debuted for that national team before ever making a senior appearance for the club. It was an incredibly controversial call-up that resulted in him starting his first ever senior level match as a national team player for Ecuador against Chile in World Cup qualifying. It's a wild story, but clearly he has since backed that up. The last guy outside the top 10 at number 11, Mattia Liberali. Liberali is an interesting case in how somebody manages to end up on this list. He came up at AC Milan, but was eventually just released and signed on a free with a club called Catanzaro outside of the top flight of Italian football. He quite literally debuted for AC Milan in December of 2024. And even in July, he was part of AC Milan's tours through Asia or wherever the heck they were going. But in August, he left on a free. Catanzaro scooped him up, and now he's playing out of the spotlight. And Football Manager disagrees basically with AC Milan's decision to let him leave. They still think Mattia Liberali, the 18-year-old attacking midfielder and winger, is a darn good player with high-level dribbling, passing, and vision on the field. But at number 10, to begin our top 10 best hidden wonder kids, we have somebody that definitely hasn't played for AC Milan. Abubakar Seti Kente, the Gambian center back who plays for Tromsø. It's a wild story. He's only been at Tromsø for less than a year. He was at a partner academy called Mawade Wade and then came to Tromsø on a trial in February of this year. By early March, he had signed a 5-year contract with the club, and he's played the entire season in Norway while making his debut for the Gambian national team. Kente is not a particularly fast player, and standing at 6'1", he's not particularly huge. huge either, but he is very technically good at defense. His marking and tackling ratings on Football Manager are incredible, and he is also very strong. And there are two other things that work very well in his favor as a defender. His decision making is rated as great, and he's left-footed. And who doesn't love a left-footed center back? For the 9th best hidden wonder kid, we go back to Independiente del Valle for Justin Lerma. He is another 17-year-old attacking midfielder type that Ecuador very much has to look forward to. And this guy's talent has been recognized instantly because he already has a future transfer arranged to Dortmund. He is an explosive athlete who has not only great control of the ball, but a very nice knack for finishing the ball. He is an incredible physical specimen, and when he first started to make appearances with Independiente del Valle, he actually went viral as one of those players that people couldn't believe was actually 15. But Ecuador has never really had an issue with keeping track of birth certificates in the past, so there's no precedent to suggest that Lerma's anything other than a kid that was born on May 5th, 2008, who can't move to Dortmund until 2026. But now it's time for number 8 on our ranking of the best wonder kids, is Mbekezeli Mbokazi. Easy for you to say. He's a 19-year-old South African center back who plays for Orlando Pirates, one of the biggest teams in South Africa. And he is a bucket of fun because this is a guy that won Goal of the Month in South Africa in just October for this absolute banger. He is not really a tremendous athlete at all, but he's got good strength and incredible technical ability, particularly as a passer. But they've also given him 13 long shots, which is very high for a 19-year-old center back in the game. But he is a very smart, tremendous playmaking center back who's not going to give up a ton defensively either. And at 19, he has a current ability rating of 120 with a hard-coded potential ability of 150, which obviously that's not necessarily halfway into the range that we've been looking at before, but because he's so good right now, he's basically definitely going to reach that. And if he does, this is a Premier League level center back right here, and a fun one at that. We have a South African David Luiz here. But at number 7, it's time for us to enter one of my favorite sections of any list. Spot that random Brazilian somewhere in the world. Because at number 7, we have Cal Elias of Shakhtar Donetsk. If you're playing in a country that's been an active war zone for going on near 3 years, you count on this list. And Cal Elias is a 19-year-old Brazilian striker who's doing just that. As with basically everybody you're going to run into on this list at this point, he is very physically and technically gifted. He came up at Fluminense before making his move to Shakhtar Donetsk, where he's been a regular player since arriving this year. While most players seem to have foregone the Ukraine to the rest of Europe pipeline out of Brazil, Shakhtar Donetsk, I give them a lot of credit for still trying to do it. They have found a gem in Cal Elias, and he is certainly a name to remember, or at least somebody that could come out of nowhere and instantly be a really good player for your club at some point, yeah. But his potential ability, as with the next couple of people as well, is back into that 140 to 170 range. So I'm not quite sure exactly how good this guy could be yet. Our next guy, however, is not Brazilian. Number 6 is Hugo Camberos, a Mexican right winger. He's 18 and plays for Guadalajara, Chivas Guadalajara. His current ability checks in at 113, but he's got, genuinely good Premier League level dribbling, passing, technique, and he's quick. He can separate from people. He's the type of guy that can be a playmaking, goal-scoring winger, and that's what he's been for Chivas Guadalajara. He made his debut for the club in January of this year and hasn't looked back. He was actually named as a Liga MX All-Star this year, for whatever that's worth. Even though Mexico's the biggest rival for the US, it's nice to see them having some sort of wonder kid popping up on this list again. The issue for Camberos is he's only 5'5" and has 1 strength in the game, so he's a little small. But we'll see if, unlike maybe some of the other Mexican players that have popped up recently, he's able to actually make that move to Europe, or if he even wants to. But now we hit the top 5. We're actually headed to a place we have not gone in a long time. Russia. The Russian league is still going, even though it's basically a pariah league that has no other connection and doesn't, play internationally and all that. But there is a player there, and his name is Pedro. And he is the 5th best hidden wonder kid in the world. Football Manager's given him a current ability of 126. He moved to Zenit from Corinthians, which would have been, a more normal path a couple years ago. And I have no idea what the level of the Russian league is right now, but he's made 52 appearances for Zenit, and he's just 19 years old. He's been a very regular feature in the Brazilian under-20 national team. You look at his profile on Football Manager, he looks like a guy that's starting for a mid-table Premier League club already. He's a left winger that likes to cut in. That's just in vogue for every Brazilian right now. But it will be interesting to see how his career plays out. Football Manager obviously obviously thinks this guy has a chance to be world class, even though he is in the footballing equivalent of literally Narnia. Only 4 left, and at number 4 we have our final Brazilian, Alisson, a right wing for Shakhtar Donetsk. That's right, they got 2 of them in the top 7. Brazil always does this. They always export talented players to off the beaten path clubs, players that hide out of the spotlight and then all of a sudden appear as some of the best players in the world sometimes. And that's what these guys are capable of doing amongst everybody else on this list as well. Alisson, or Alisson Santana, is the oldest player on this list, but he's number 4 because he's incredibly talented and he's 19 at the start of the database. He dropped 8 goal contributions in 5 Europa League qualifying matches. That's insane. But despite that, Football Manager is still just limiting him to a potential ability range of 140 to 170. He is the last player with that potential ability range. The last 3 players on this list, the top 3, are going to have a higher potential ability range entirely. And at number 3, it's the Kazakh wonder boy himself, Dastan Satpayev of Kairat Almaty. Satpayev turned 17 in August, and right as he was getting ready to celebrate his 17th birthday, he was scoring goals and scoring winning penalties in the Champions League qualifying run that got Kairat Almaty into the Champions League proper. Football Manager has his current ability at 115, is a guy that just turned 17 years old. He's a good athlete with a naturally high ability to finish and an incredible game IQ. But I gotta go back to that 150 to 180 potential ability range. 180, if they hit, the absolute top ability that's in their range is Rodri or Liverpool goalkeeper Alisson. While 150 is the level that Morgan Gibbs-White is at. This is the absolute bottom of their potential ability range. Jonathan David's there, Amad Diallo's there, Jack Grealish is there right now. But to be fair, they probably have no idea where to rate him. Nick Voltamade is 150 current ability in the game. That is the bottom of Datsun Satpayev's potential range. It is by far the best Kazakh wonderkid we have ever seen in this game, and it's deserved based off the way he's played. Dude has 6 appearances for the Kazakh national team already, by the way. He's got a chance to be just the guy. But he's just number 3, because at number 2 is the 17-year-old fullback from Georgia, Saba Karabashvili. That's right, we're going Kazakhstan into Georgia. He plays for Dinamo Tbilisi. He's a left back, and he's insanely good. First of all, he just turned 17 in September. He's also already gotten into the Georgian national team as, of course, the youngest ever player to do so. What's particularly crazy is this year's European run from Dinamo Tbilisi wasn't even his first. He made his debut in European competition in June of 2024, becoming the youngest player to ever play in European club competition. 15 years, 10 months, 8 days old. You don't really need me to break down this attribute page either. This is when he's still 16 at the start of the database, and he's just ridiculously good. You should sign this guy in your Football Manager save every single time, ever. His potential ability is also 150 to 180, same as Setpayev, but he's not number 1. And that's because number 1 is the Mexican super wonder kid, Gilberto Mora. This kid, if you live in CONCACAF, is impossible to avoid. He plays for Tijuana in the Mexican League, and he just turned 17 in the middle of October. He's one of those kids that you watch the moment they touch the field, and there's just something different about them. And Football Manager's tried to reflect that. His technique is super high, his creativity is super high, and his general knowledge and understanding of the game is frankly ridiculous for a kid that when the database was submitted was 16 years old. He is obviously not that big. He is only 5'6", but he's been given pretty good athleticism nonetheless. He has also broken into the notoriously difficult to break into Mexican national team and made 3 appearances already. Remember, I said he turned 17 in October. He has 41 appearances for Tijuana already. 41! It's always tough with the number 1 guy on this list because he's not going to stay hidden for long. But right now, he's still pretty off the radar if you're not in CONCACAF. But Gilberto Mora is the best hidden wonder kid in the entire world. Good luck signing all these guys on your Football Manager save and enjoy tracking their careers. If you want to see the list from last year or 2 years ago, see how those guys did, you can check out that video up there. I'll see you on stream on Twitch or on the Zealand Live YouTube. Adios.